Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video I'm going to probably rant and say things and it's going to be quite depressing, but alternatively it could be quite exciting depending on your frame of mind and how much money you've got in your bank. So I've built this PC. This is from a reviewed case that we did recently, which is the Techwear VXN case, and I've put together a micro ATX build. Now this build at the moment, if I go through PC Part Picker, this is approximately in the region of about £1,150, which seems like an awful lot of money for a PC, especially a micro ATX one, but some people prefer the smaller form factor and that may suit you. So today we're going to go through, talk about some of the things I like about this, some of the things I dislike about it, and talk about the state of the market and also the price of components, and also is DDR5, the platform, AM5 in this particular instance, is it actually worth it at the moment? So let's get into it. So let's start off talking about the parts. So the parts, to begin with, some of them are actually absolute bargains, which still makes me wonder how I've managed to get to £1,150 on this, but still, anyway. So Ryzen 7700 AM5 platform. This processor normally retails somewhere around the £300 mark, although I have seen it as low as £275. I actually managed to pick this up on AliExpress for £150. So that is a massive saving. And actually it does seem that this particular processor is a really good sample. It gets a really good score. We've got this set up and we're currently set to around about 120 watts as a thermal limit on the processor with a little bit of a curve optimization, and in Cinebench it scores around about 19,000 points, maybe 1950, sometimes very close to 20,000, which is absolutely excellent. Temperature wise, it idles around about 40 degrees Celsius in a 23 degree ambient room, and it maxes out somewhere in the region of about 85 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is totally expected for a Ryzen processor. So that was fantastic value for money. The motherboard in this is the MSI B650M Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. Again, we've reviewed that separately. This board comes in around about £150. Currently, I checked today, it's £139.99. So yeah, not too bad a price for a pretty decent motherboard, which certainly seems to be keeping up with the processor. When it comes to the RAM, I wanted some RGB RAM, but unfortunately that is about £20 to £30 more expensive currently on the market as we speak. So at the moment we're using some Crucial OC RAM. This is the 32 gig kit, which is running at 6,000 megatransfers and is CL36. This RAM comes in at the moment at just under £100 for a 32 gig kit. Moving on to the PSU. Now the PSU, this was an absolute bargain. So this is the Corsair HX850, which is a platinum power supply. I actually managed to pick this up used from one of the friends of the channel, Dave Aiken. Thank you very much, Dave. Picked it up for around £50, which was excellent. A couple of wires were missing, I think, but overall all the things that I needed are actually there. If I was to replace this with something similar, you'd be looking possibly at an MSI Gen 5 power supply, around about £90 for a 850 watt fully modular Gold Plus rated. Now the GPU is one which is always going to be a bone of contention. Now in this particular build we've got the Radeon RX 6800. This is the 319 version from XFX. This is actually a really nice card. When I picked it up it was somewhere in the region of about £400, but you can pick them up now on the market for about £370 and on the used market a little bit cheaper again. This is a great card, 16 gigs of RAM, which will certainly keep you going for the foreseeable future. The storage on this, we've got 1TB of NVMe storage. This is a Gen 3 drive, 1TB, there's nothing particularly special. This one I believe is the Ficwa FN501, which I've used previously and found this to be very good and excellent pricing. Although at the moment M.2 drives are particularly expensive, and you can pick a similar drive up, such as the Kingston NV2, for somewhere in the region of about £50 to £55. Now all of this is held in the case, so this is the Techwear VXN Micro ATX case, and it came with some fans which I wasn't particularly happy about, so I've actually gone ahead and taken those out, thrown them away, and actually gone with some much better fans. So these are the Thermaltake CT120 fans. These you can pick up a twin pack for about £20 to £25 depending on where you're shopping, and these are really nice fans. I think they look really nice, they've got a really nice aesthetic to them, and if you want to you can put them in reverse mode as we've got in the side here, and they actually don't look too bad, although I am very tempted to peel those stickers off the back. With the 6 fans in here, we're looking at somewhere in the region of about £70 to £90, depending on where you're shopping. The Techwear VXN you can pick up at the moment on places such as Amazon for around about £65 in either the white that we've got here, or alternatively there's a black version should that be your choice. To control the fans, rather than plug them all into individual headers on the motherboard, I've opted to go with a Thermalright contraption. This is suitable for plugging in up to 8 devices, so 8 fans, and also the RGB. So keep all the wiring a little bit neater. As you can see from some of the B-roll we've got here, it actually does a pretty decent job, and because there's quite a few fans in here, it makes cable management that much easier. These at the moment come in for somewhere in the region of about £10, so extremely good value for money for the features they offer. When it comes to keeping the CPU cool, which it does actually a pretty decent job considering this is an 8-core 16-thread part, so we've gone with the APNX AP1-V. This one comes in somewhere in the region of about £30 to £35 at the moment. There are some special offers. Originally it came out on the market, first of all, around about £50, which I think was way too much for what it offers. But for around about £30, I think it's a pretty good shout. You could, of course, replace it with something like the Freezer 36 from Arctic, which is considerably cheaper if you can still get it at the bargain price, which was introduced at. But again, that one is in flux, so you may pay a little bit more, or potentially you can save about £10 and get it for about £25. One of the best savings on this whole PC is actually the Windows license key. So this is from premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing if you want to pick one up for yourself and save an absolute fortune. You can use the discount code Mike's Unboxing to get it actually even cheaper still. And I picked up the license key for around about £3. Yep, that's right, £3. So please don't be spending around about £100 on a retail license. These are absolutely fine. You can activate Windows for less than a £5. It's absolutely great. So overall, if we top things up, approximately from what I've actually spent and from what parts I've actually been given for reviews, etc., out of my own pocket, we're looking at spending somewhere in the region of about £950. Now the total price of this, if you were to buy the parts new, would be somewhere in the region of about £1,150. So yeah, there's a pretty good saving there. Now my biggest problem with this entire PC, as fast as it is, and it performs extremely well, and I think it actually looks pretty nice, is the fact that it's basically going to be impossible to sell. If I list this on Facebook Marketplace or any of those other types of sites, if I put it up for what it owes me, so around about £950 to £1,000, I'm never going to get it. People just don't seem to see the value in modern PCs. Now, if we did actually change some things out in here, maybe put in a 5700X CPU from AM4, that would probably help a little bit, but similar sort of pricing in terms of what I would pay for it. The motherboard's going to be cheaper, the RAM's going to be cheaper, so you're going to save probably about £20 to £30 on a motherboard, and the RAM is going to be basically half the price, and possibly RGB as well to throw in. So potentially there's some savings there of around about £70, which still brings it to around about £900, which I think people then are going to look at it and say, well, it's an AM4 PC. Those are kind of dead and buried somewhat. So I don't think it makes a great deal of sense if you're building a new PC to go with AM4, especially if you're looking for that extra dollar. So anyway, there are some of my thoughts on it. Let's take a quick look at the PC part picker list, just so you can see it actually is what I say it is. And this is as of the time of recording, so this is middle of May 2024. It'd be interesting to look back on this in a year's time to see how much things have changed. I did actually have a look on some of my previous PC part picker lists to see what the differences were if we were spending a similar sort of amount of money, and actually there wasn't that much of a change. It seems that this has been the way it is for a couple of years at least now. So here we have it on our PC part picker list. I'll list this in the video description so you can check it yourself. And if you want to make some modifications, if you think this is something you might want to build for yourself but make some changes, you certainly can do. So like I said, Ryzen 7 7700, at the moment £274.07. Again, I would strongly suggest picking one of these up from AliExpress. They seem to have some fantastic deals on these new AM5 processors, and you can save a literal ton of cash. Almost enough to pay for the motherboard, to be honest with you. Anyway, moving on, so there is our CPU cooler, the APNX AP1, 35 quid at the moment. The motherboard, 140, give or take a few pence. We've got our RAM there at 97.99. I really do think that DDR5 RAM needs to come down in price to make it competitive on the market at the moment. It will make a difference, but I can't see it halving in price, at least not for a very long time. Like I said previously, with the M.2 drives, those are getting very expensive at the moment. So this is about 20% more expensive than they were at Christmas time, which is a very sad state of affairs. Looking at about £53 for a Faxiang S500 Pro, or alternatively something like the Fiqua FN501 and lots of other drives of a similar sort of status. PCI Express Gen 3x4, which is absolutely fine for this sort of build. The graphics card, like I said, XFX Speedster, this is the 319, again £370, probably worth looking at used ones. Those were really popular, and actually a great card. It doesn't generate a great deal of heat, but actually still does perform particularly well. Very good option in my opinion. Power supply, this one is the MSI Mag A850GL, PCI Express Gen 5, 850 watt. This one's only a gold, whereas the one we've actually got on our PC is a platinum, but it is a used one, so I figured this would be a suitable replacement. Potentially, if you want to, you can put a much lower and possibly a bronze rated PSU in there and save yourself probably £30. But whether or not £30 saving is worth it, I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. And last of all, we've got our Tecware VXN Evo. So this is the Micro ATX or MITX dual chamber chassis, available in black. The white version is the same price, and again, it comes with those 3 fans, which I would personally replace because I didn't like them. Static RPM, not great. But the case, I think, actually looks pretty decent and it's quite easy to build in. So for £65 at the moment in the current market, I think it's actually not too bad a price at all. That gives us a total of £1,125.97 as of the day's recording date, which is the 16th of the 5th, 2024. So yeah, 1,100 quid for a PC. These are worrying times, my friends. So there you go, there is the pricing of it. Obviously, if you're just wanting this to play 1080p games and you're not too concerned, you could swap out the graphics card. You can get some really good deals on something like the RX 6600 8GB card. You can pick those up pretty easily for about £150 these days, and will still let you play all the latest and greatest games, albeit at lower resolutions. The RX 6800 is actually a great card, and I've managed to play games at even 4K resolutions. 1440p I think is where it really shines, and that 16 gig frame buffer is really helpful for those extra textures and means you're not going to get those stuttering effects that you do get in some games. So there you go. Overall, I'm not overly keen on this PC, and I don't get it. In theory, spending around about £1,000 on a PC, it should be an absolute dream. For most people, that is probably even too much money. They're probably looking at 600, maybe 800 tops. So spending a bit more, going over that kind of mystical £1,000 barrier, what do you actually get? And realistically, you don't get a great deal more. The only thing you really do get in this particular instance is longevity. So the AM5 platform is going to be around for a little while. We are going to be seeing the 8000 and also the 9000 series chips, which will be compatible with the B650 motherboard and also DDR5 RAM. So in terms of longevity, it will have a couple of years ahead of it, whereas obviously if we went with an AM4 build, that is going to be less likely. So if you're looking at building with the thought of upgrading piecemeal as you go along, so maybe swapping out the processor, swapping out the RAM, that sort of stuff, then I think this is definitely the way to go. If you're just looking to build and be done with it for a couple of years, then I think it might be worth looking at AM4. There are going to be some significant savings there. So there you go. Overall, I think this is a time in the PC market where there's not a huge amount to get excited about. I think we really need AMD to come out with something really good on the graphics card front. Hopefully the 9000 series will be the one that ticks the box, but it does still seem that is going to be at least 6 months away, if not longer. So yeah, from now up until Christmas, I think realistically, if you're looking at spending around about £1,100 to £1,200, this is the sort of thing you're going to be looking at. Is it going to be what you want? Is it going to tick the boxes for you? Or would you prefer to go for other things? Let me know in the comment section what parts you would change or what you would build for around about £1,100 to £1,200. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts, and of course you can also talk about this on our Discord chat. Again, it's a very lively place, and if you want to discuss the pros and cons of the PC marketplace, it's definitely the place to go. So I think that's going to wrap this video up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, smash that like button. If you want to see more content of this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe and the chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.